They sued now the Georgia State Election Board. Oh no, we're gonna count votes. It feels like democracy is at stake right now. If they just double check the votes. The Democrats don't want that to happen, right? The Democrats like the mystery.
The whole point is to have a safe election, not to pass a test.
I can't believe that anybody would ever do this.
Kamala and the Democrats are now suing to stop Georgia from hand counting the ballots because these people, they don't want you to actually have a clear vote. They only want whatever comes out of the mysterious machine that just miraculously prints out Democratic names as victors. They want that to be the rule that is in place. If you count them by hand, they want you to stop. They sued now the Georgia State Election Board, saying that a new rule that orders counties to count ballots by hand would invite chaos on election night. Oh no, we're gonna count votes on the night that we're supposed to count votes, creating delays in reporting for large counties that took forever to report last time and put security of ballots at risk if they actually count them. So New York Times got a copy of the lawsuit. The lawsuit was filed by the Democratic National Committee and the Democratic Party of Georgia, and it has support for Kamala Harris, argues that the state election board went beyond its authority in passing this rule, and notes that the board is not a lawmaking body and that the rule conflicts with the legislature, which is hilarious. Now, because they're the ones who are always doing things against the legislature. Now, the rule was passed earlier this month. It requires local election officials to count ballots by hand after polls close to ensure that the total number of ballots matches the machine count totals. Wow, it sounds like a shocking change. It feels like democracy is at stake right now. If they just double check the votes. The Democrats don't want that to happen, right? The Democrats like the mystery. And if they do this, then it's like balancing your checkbook, right? It's like syncing the two. Oh, okay, this says 1,000 people voted this way, and let's match this over here. Perfect. Before the vote, both the Secretary of State, Raffensperger, loser, and Attorney General of Georgia warned the board that it was exceeding your authority. You can't do this. They said to protect the sanctity of the state's laws and to prevent election night chaos, the court should declare the hand count rule to exceed their authority. The lawsuit comes as Georgia State Election Board has inserted itself directly into the political storm. Ever since a 3-2 right-wing majority emerged this summer, the board has passed a host of rules. Now, the elections are a disaster over there, as we saw from testimony from Clay Parikh and others. Now, former President Trump has praised the three members, and it's weird, the Democrats always sue when it makes the integrity of our elections less secure, right? You want ID? Oh no, we don't want it. You're gonna have people have ID to come in and vote? What are you, nuts? That's racist. Oh, you want to make sure that the voter rolls are clean so that we don't have illegal aliens voting in them? No. You can't do that either. Now, you want to actually count the votes. You can't do that either because they're just cheaters, man. Now, Democrats filed the lawsuit on Monday, though it's not appeared on the Superior Court docket yet. I've tried to find it. The Democrats say that the delay is because of Hurricane Helene and how it affected the court system, creating a significant backlog in the filing system. So the clerk confirmed it has a backlog because the office was closed on Friday. So we don't even know, lawsuits, it's a mess. Mike Cohn, executive director of the state election board, said in an email that the counting of the ballots rule simply makes the process uniform across the state, provides greater confidence that the votes are accurate. Democrats don't want that. He added that the Democrats filing a second lawsuit illustrates that lawfare is alive and well in Georgia. During a debate over the rule at the board meeting this month, Janelle King, one of the members who voted in favor of the rule, argued the board was creating more stability in our election process. The board has met with near universal resistance from election officials. They're like, oh crap, they're going to count them by hand? Oh man, our whole plot is ruined. Brad Raffensperger, the Republican Secretary of State, has repeatedly said the board is a mess. Your elections are not a mess? We read through the judge's opinion, Amy Totenberg, I believe it was, who said that things are a disaster. We heard testimony in McAfee's courtroom yesterday confirming the same. Local election officials represented by Georgia's association have denounced the board for making changes. In a statement, Quentin Folks, the deputy campaign manager for Harris, said if you would count these by hand, it's going to undermine the election process. We agree, they said, this rule is unproductive and unlawful, and that's why we're fighting it, says Kamala's people. Democrats are stepping in to ensure that Georgia voters can cast their ballots knowing that they will be counted in a free and fair election. Will they? That's the question. That's the whole question. Are they actually going to be counted? That's why we want them to be hand counted to confirm it, that it doesn't go into some mysterious black box that Fani Willis is in control of. The lawsuit also notes that the origins of the hound count rules have close ties to, quote, false conspiracy theories about election machines. It's not even about the election machines. It's about the people who are operating the machines, and it's about the machines. But they say nothing in the election code permits the kind of hand counting contemplated by the hand count rule. And it's a different type of cheating, right? They don't want any clarity. They don't want you to ID yourself. They don't want the voter rolls clean. They don't want clarity on the counting of the votes. They just want a big, mysterious voting thing that happens. And then they just, grease the skids along the way. So we see that it's a disaster out there. And there were some excerpts and some clips that were percolating from Georgia itself. And here was one excerpt from the testimony in McAfee's courtroom. Said it's baffling that the people like Raffensperger, who know the election system is wide open, are allowing it to be wide open. This whole thing can be manipulated at will. Here is testimony from Georgia about the election system itself.
Or it doesn't. And as we sit here today, it does not. And, would the secretary today, in light of this evidence, certify this system safe and practicable for use?
Of course he will.
I hope not. I attribute to the secretary good intentions to have a secure system.
That's nice that you do that.
It's baffling that they have not reacted to the compelling evidence that's been in his hands for 3 years about this problem. So mandamus, that's the remedy. It's available to us, and we are resorting to it.
So force them to do something.
Abuse of discretion. Let me put it this way. He doesn't have discretion to field a system that has open text encryption keys that any moderately sophisticated attacker could exploit to alter election results without detection. He doesn't have that discretion. Where's the statute that says that? And they get there, that's the effect of the argument. They get there by saying, well, all we got to do is have a pre-purchase certification, then it doesn't matter anymore. It does matter. It has to matter. The only context in which it could matter is the operational context. The whole point is to have a safe election, not to pass a test. And why did the legislature require the test? So they would have a safe system in elections. I mean, it's nonsense to construe this as there being no duty to have a compliant and safe operational election system. That's the thrust of the entire thing. So I have not read that law review article, but I will go out on a limb and say that an overwhelming concern was election integrity. The commission that was convened by the secretary was called the Safe Commission. It wasn't the Unsafe Commission, it was the Safe Commission. Why? Because they wanted a safe system. And if those people had known that these encryption keys were in plain text, that you had hard-coded vendor passwords going back to 2008 or 2010, that you had 10-year X509 certificates that could establish trust between communicating machines, they wouldn't have gotten off the ground.
So he's giving us basically a closing argument there as to why this should go their way. Here was another excerpt. This guy was explaining more of what he was talking about, right, telling us that there were encryption keys in plain sight.
Updates of the system.
That's correct.
But they all had the same characteristic?
Yes.
As a matter of cyber security, how would you characterize that situation?
Well, it depends on how I'm looking at it. If I'm looking at it from a hacker's point of view, hallelujah. If I'm looking at it from a cybersecurity perspective, I can't believe that anybody would ever do this. If you're talking about the criticality of the ensuring the integrity of the vote, which is the base for our democracy.
It's a joke, right?
Then how could you ever leave this unprotected? So I quite find it, frankly, appalling.
Yeah. And that's good enough for Georgia because Georgia is apparently in Fulton County, at least, a total disaster.